So welcome, Ian.
Well, thank you very much. Welcome, Kaz. Nice to see you again.
Nice to see you again. Listen to us being all formal. Welcome, Ian. Welcome, Kaz. And, just for the listeners, you and I go back, we'd have to be decades, actually.
Yes.
When did we, I reckon I met you when I was in my 20s. I'm now just turned 60, so it's probably a good 35, 40 years ago that we...
It would be, yes. Because
Yeah.
I got moved to Moe, the School of Moe, in, I think was it 85?
Wow.
No, was it earlier than that?
Something like that. No, that I would have been 22, so yeah.
Yeah, something like that. Anyway, early to mid 80s, I got moved to Moe for teaching. And that's where I tried out for the band down there. I was just looking around, and I played with I've forgotten, he had really long hair. Can't remember his name, but I did a
Harold.
jam. Who? Harold. That was him.
Yeah.
He was a nice guy. And we finished the jam, and he said, "You're not right for us." I said, "Look, I'm not right for you." They were heavy, really heavy rock, heavy metal, almost heavy punk. And he said, "But I know the person you want to speak to," and that was you.
Yeah.
And he put me on to you guys.
That's right. And we had Eddie playing with us, and Eddie was too heavy for us, and he swapped. So Eddie went and played with them, and you come and played with us. It was fantastic.
That was good.
Yeah, what a swap. Back in those days, I remember, and poor Harold, he actually ended up with back cancer and passed away. Yeah, it was really sad. And he used to live in such a nice guy. He used to live in a little house on the roadside at Druin, I can't remember, Druin West. And we used to set up the band out on the nature strip and just let everyone listen to us as we played as they drove past. But I love those days. I keep saying the good old days, but we have to grow old. We do.
Well, yeah, you guys were good. You were just what I wanted, and hopefully I was okay for you guys. And we got going and started getting gigs.
Oh, you were okay for us guys. And so we had the band Strategy, and I reckon we played for a long, long time. We
played for 4.5 years.
Was it only 4.5 years?
I'm pretty sure it was, because I was at Moe for 4 years, and it went on a bit after that. And we started doing some Melbourne gigs, and we seriously had to sit down and have a think of what we were going to do, how hard we were going to push it. I think we were talking about you guys moving down to Melbourne.
Yeah.
But it didn't happen, and then it sort of petered out. The tyranny of distance it was.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think for a while I was travelling from Berwick up to Warragul to practice.
Yeah.
But it didn't continue. And then I sort of got out of it altogether and just concentrated on the teaching side. Teaching. Yeah. But it was a good run.
It was a good run. And I remember when we doing those Melbourne gigs, we changed our name to the Hobby Hours, and we all wore black and white T-shirts, remember? And Brent was drumming. I'll never forget that. We'd replaced, Ray had left, and we had Brent drumming. And we were set up in the Swan Hotel in Richmond. And we were so tight in that little corner that the symbol, the crash symbol, was right in my ear, and it actually sliced my ear twice during the night. Yes.
Jeez.
And we had Angus on guitar, and he had blood all over his guitar from his fingers. Oh, jeez, I tell you.
Oh, God.
You and I were just saying off air, and sorry about this, listeners. We will get to the content soon, but we've just caught up after a number of years. But that we were working many nights playing, and plus having full-time jobs as well. And I was a postie then, and you were talking about you and I both reaching burnout, that our bodies sort of said, no freaking more, that's enough. But I was a postie, and so I'd get home from gigs at like 3 a.m, because we played all over Gippsland and beyond, and 3 a.m, and I'd go to bed, and I'd have to be up again at 5 because I started work as a postie at 6. And I'd get home at like 2 p.m, and then I'd sleep for 2 hours, and then off to a gig. And your body can't sustain.
No, it couldn't. That. We both had physical breakdowns. The body's just said you cannot do this anymore.
Yeah. Imagine trying to do it at our age.
Oh God, no. No, I just do a few small gigs, and that's fine, and just enjoy playing with the girl, our girl drummer. She's full-time work still, so we have to be respectful of her time.
Yeah, yeah. And that band is called Turn It Up. So if anyone wants to
turn it up, yeah.
check it out, you can see it at turnitup.biz.
Yeah. We also were doing a Kinks tribute band show, but we only did a few shows of that. And funnily enough, all the Beatles tribute band shows and Kylie Minogue tribute and all, they do really well. But we found that people weren't really receptive to the Kinks, which we found very strange. Because, anyway, we called ourselves the Waterloo Sunsets. You can look us up if you want, the waterloosunsets.com or wherever it is. And we do a whole heap of Kinks songs. And we do them well, but the public wasn't so into it as we thought they would be. They're into the Beatles, Stones, Beatles and Stones, that like that. But the Kinks didn't work as well. Doesn't matter.
Maybe the Kinks weren't as popular.
Well, they were. They were number 3 band for a while.
Oh, were they?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember them. Yeah, I loved them. And we used to play a lot of the Kinks songs as well.
We still, I enjoyed doing them. I still enjoy learning new ones. I still enjoyed it, but it didn't quite work out with the public. Got a couple of gigs like that. I mean, we dressed up and everything with the frills and the red jackets and all that, but it doesn't matter. We still do our regular stuff. And that's the main.
No, that's good. Oh, anyway, I don't play anymore. I had my thyroid out and I couldn't sing. I can't sing anymore. So my days are over.
My voice is pretty from all those years of teaching.
From all those years of singing, I'd say.
Oh, yeah. Well, I was a music teacher for 20 years.
I was just going to say that. Let's go back to the start of this, because you were just talking about your drummer still having a full-time job, and and so you started as a primary teacher and as a music teacher, and you did that for 20 years.
Yes.
And then what?
Well, at the end of my time, I'd started tinkering around with a small video camera.
I remember that.
Yeah, and I found the school had some. So I started giving these lessons to the kids on how to shoot videos. And then I started making videos myself out of school hours and just shorts. And then I realized you could send them off to competitions and things. And I thought, that's pretty good. So I started to meet people and talk to people and got people on side and did my little videos. And that was all very nice. Then I thought I wouldn't mind doing a major movie sometime. So because I wrote a lot of songs, remember I used to write songs for the band, I decided I'll try and write some movie scripts. And I sort of just knocked a few out and then got talking to some people, and they decided, I sort of got coerced into it, well, why don't you do a major? And here's the silly part. And I thought, okay, but I want to be in charge. So I put my money in. Oops.
Yeah.
And I had the script. So there's no worry there. So I'm paying these people to act and be a director guy I knew, and all these people that you have to have on board. And we did it, but it didn't go anywhere. Made a few festivals around the world, and that's about it. It was called Zyko Rock.
Yeah.
And they changed my script and they made it more hard-hitting, and they did all this stuff. And the end result wasn't what I imagined. Yeah. So I was a bit disappointed. And then at the end of that, I thought, well, I'm not going to do this anymore. This is ridiculous. I've lost a lot of money. I had it to lose, luckily, because I'd just finished teaching. But I thought, I won't do it. And then I thought, well, I'll do one more small one, a short. I'll do it my way. Yeah. And I'll be director. I'm not the world's greatest director, but I'll be the director. And I know the script and I know what's right. So I got a couple of kids to help out and some friends to help out. And we did it. And it was called Just Friends. And it's a cute little story. And I like the subtlety of a script and of acting. You don't have to go be heavy-handed all the time. Anyway, cut a long story short, I did the film, put it out there. It got accepted at Cannes in France,
wow.
the main festival. And it was shown, accepted and shown. It didn't make the final. If it made the final, I'd probably be in the news and all that. But it was accepted, and they get thousands of entries. And I got a nice letter back from them saying how well it was appreciated. And so I thought, well, there you go. There's your first lesson in life, son. Be true to yourself. Don't listen to other people. Sure, take in information, but be strong and be true. So I thought, and then I got deathly sick. Just after that finished, and I had almost finished at school. I got deathly sick. I had pancreatitis.
Oh God, really?
I was in hospital for 3 months.
Wow.
Yeah. In fact, I believe I died at one stage, and they got me back. So wow. Pretty heavy. Anyway, that took a year to get over that. 3 months in hospital, 6 months recovery, went back to work. I wasn't into work anymore. And they said, look, just hang in and for 18 months doing minor stuff and then take 50, in those days, 5411. And so then I was out and that was okay. And I'm sitting there and looking at scripts that I had written. Now, I write everything freehand.
I know.
Here is the sort of thing that I do. I write, and there's about 30 pages of those, books of those manuscripts. So I'm sitting there with the old manuscript, and it was called something else. And I said, hey, these aren't going to be made. These film scores, these screenplays are not going to be done. What do I do with them? And I thought, wait a minute. It's an outline. A screenplay is nothing more than an outline.
Yeah. For
the viewers who are interested, if someone writes a book and a publishing company company buys the rights to that book, they buy the rights to film it or make a movie.
Yeah.
And they usually give it off to screenwriters to write a screenplay from the book.
Yeah.
You know that, yeah. Well, I did the reverse. There I am sitting on a screenplay. I thought, why not I extend it and make it into a novel, something different? I don't want to do any more movies. And so I did that. And that became the first book, Luina. And that's how it started. I don't know what date. I guess around about 2000 and, I don't know, 14, 15, something like that.
Yeah.
So I changed it around and extended it and made it into a novel and then talked to some people and got an editor, professional editor, edit it.
Wow. Yeah. I just want to stop you there because I'm just noticing all the the patterns between you and I, like the exact, we both sort of joined the band together. We both had burnout together. We both were just talking before, both found our love in our mid 50s, and we both wrote our first book in 2014. There's just so many things that are just like chonk, 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 chonk. I just want, before you keep going on there, I just want to ask you, you said before you were looking at all these scripts and you said, well, that's it, there's no more films. Why after having all that close to success, at the festival, why did you then decide, well, that's it, there's no more films? Like what made that decision happen?
Well, to do it properly, you have to go into that business full time. Yeah. And that means, as a writer, that means hocking your screenplays around to various companies, and it is a slog. Most of them aren't interested. They like to go with people they know and this sort of thing. You got to work your way in, knock on doors, talk, arrange meetings, etc., etc., etc. And even then, you probably won't get anywhere.
Yeah.
So I thought, oh, why bother? And then I thought, look, I enjoy writing, and so why not? And then I just moved to the other. Head off in that area rather than flog my screenplays. Oh, look, they're good little screenplays. I'm sure they'd be good, but I was over it.
So when you wrote Luina, did you, or when you decided to extend it and turn it into a novel, did you know what you were doing? Because there's a lot of people out there that have got, I'd love to write a story one day, but I don't know what to do. And they don't do it. They freeze and don't do anything. But did you learn as you went, or just learn from mistakes? Or
well, the good part is when you write songs, and you wrote songs, when you write songs, you have a theme in your head, something twigs and you think, oh, yeah, and that's a good line, or I like that.
Yeah.
And then you put it down and then you start fiddling around with chords and etc. But you're basically following a pattern of sorts.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know what your brain's like. Mine is very strange. I have
I might say that about me too.
Very strange brain. It's right hand side of the. Even at work, I'd be told I'm making these quips. Someone would say something in in the meetings, and I'd go, "Oh yeah, such and such," and they'd say, "Shut up," I should have been a comedy writer, really. But anyway, so when I sat down I had that outline, it wasn't hard. I had the outline in my head, and it's like Beethoven.
Yep.
When Beethoven wrote his Fifth Symphony, he was out in the woods, so the story goes. He was somewhere, and he heard something. It might have been a woodpecker going.
Yeah.
That's all he needed. He had da 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 da. There's his basic theme. The rest is just extension. Da 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 da, and he just able to just pour it out and extend it. Well, that's the same way. You have your main idea, your main theme, and mine was the girl got orphaned. That's my starting point. The girl gets orphaned by the death of her parents, and she goes to live with an aged uncle in northwest Tasmania, her only living relation, and he's a very old, strange man. There's your main theme. The girl is orphaned. Yeah. What happens to her? And the rest is just building and extending.
Wow.
Get your theme, and then get your theme and expand. That's it.
Well, see, many people could listen to that and then think, geez, I could do that. And I actually hope they do. I hope you've inspired a few people to go, do you know what, bugger it, I'm going to give it a crack. So Louina is based around the main character is Beth Duncan.
Yes.
So what happens? Go on, spoil the first story, but not spoil it totally that people don't have to read it.
Oh, sure, right. Okay. Beth becomes orphaned by the death of her parents. I won't say how, but it's very unfortunate. She's only 15. There's no relations. They eventually find an aged uncle in Tasmania, northwest, who is a bit of a recluse, and he lives in Louina, northwest Tasmania.
Yeah.
So she goes to live with him, and she discovers to go to school, she has to catch the school bus, and there's other kids on the school bus. And the little town of Louina is a backwoods town, and if you've seen Deliverance, you know what backwoods people are like. And there's these backwoods people who because she becomes friendly with the lady who teaches dance to kids, they become a target. And the others are either jealous or just backwoods types. One girl's got and it basically develops and becomes more antagonistic towards Beth and her friend. Who's I've forgotten her name now because she's only in the first book, Kaz, and Karen, and it builds and it builds and it builds, and it becomes very, very nasty and very difficult. And I won't go on any further. Just that there's a lot of action at the end of the book, and it builds to a finale, which is pretty full on. But that's it.
So go on. No, go.
No, well, that's it. Basically, it's a build of tension.
Yeah.
And she's living in a backwoods where there's no police and no nothing. And it's a build of tension.
Well, it sounds like a bloody thrilling read. Tell us, I want to go on to the next, in a minute, go on to how it ends up to the next novel. But when you're talking about that little town of Louina, is that in northwest Tassie? Does that actually exist? Because I read a little bit about you going to find that town, and tell us about that search.
Well, it's on the map. You can find it. It's just past. It's before Savage River, and it's out of Louina. It's out of Waratah in northwest. So we went over. I've been over to Tasmania many times doing research on the main towns that the books around, which is Launceston, really later on. Yeah. Louina's not there. And I talked to people and eventually found that it was there in the 80s, 70s, 80s. And when the mineral boom bust and the mining finished, everyone just left, and it was just housing. And then they sold the houses off, and the few were left, they destroyed and carted them away. If you drive in, you wouldn't even know it's a town. There's nothing there. It's just grassland and scrub. But if you stop and look, you'll find a few old bitumen roads. And there are photos of it in the 1980s. But it stopped. It disintegrated. And in the book, I mentioned the town is dying, and in real life, the town died. And so that's actually quite factual.
How did you come across it? Like, what were you doing? Looking at a map and going, "Oh, where's a little town I can write about?" Like, how did you even determine that might be the town?
I did exactly what you said.
Oh, wow.
I looked at a map I said, I knew Northwest Tasmania was secluded, I said, right, I want a backwoods town. And I looked at the map and I saw these names. No. Oh, Luina. Now there's a nice name. That will do. It was very much a case like that. And I said, well, I better find out what this place is like. And so I Googled Luina and these photos came up. And I said, yeah, that's about the right size. Yeah, that's good. We'll stick with that. It's a mining town. Perfect, Little did I know it's not there. It's on the map still. I believe it's on the map. The name's on the map, but it's just not there.
Wow.
So it was a case of, pin the tail on a donkey, just put a pin in the map and find one. So
I love that.
That's what it was. It was originally I think it was going to be called Birchip, and I was going to be set in the Western District right out Birchip Way. But that never gelled with me. I didn't like it. It wasn't right. I wanted a backwoods town. So it suited. It was fine.
Hey. I love it. And there's nothing wrong with pin the tail on the donkey.
No, it's fine.
Although I've got real donkeys and I don't really favour the idea of people run around with pins sticking them in the asses.
No, I don't think that's a good idea. I'm a bit of an animal lover.
Oh dear. And so this is my understanding. Tell me how close I am. When you got to the end of it, and it was published, and it's on Amazon's, it's worldwide on all the digital sites and everything else. When you got to the end of it, you talk about that tension, that it sort of builds and builds and builds. It's a thriller, and then suddenly stops. And so it suddenly stops. Did you decide that it stopped unresolved, or did you go, oh, wow, you know what? I reckon I could extend this again, because you talked about extending the first.
It's both of those. It was unresolved at the end. You get a finale and it finishes. And then you say to yourself, well, what happened to her after that? And so I was sitting down and I was thinking, well, what does happen to her? And my publisher, Brett, said, well, we've got it published. Is that the only one? And I'd already tried to get published by other people and found it incredibly difficult.
Yeah.
Publishing houses are not interested in new authors. They may say they are. They may pick 2 or 3 out of, I kid you not, I went into this, 2 or 3, maybe 4 out of 2,000 to 3,000 a year.
Yeah.
That's how many manuscripts they get. Yeah, forget those houses. Just forget them. The publishing houses, Collins and Penguin, forget them. Okay, so Brett helped me get published online, and that's fine through Amazon. That's good. And then I sat down and said, well, what happens to her? If anyone reads this, they want to know where she goes.
I'm just going to interrupt you. I'm sorry. I just have to say this. By the way, for listeners, Ian is actually talking about Brett Ashby, who was on the podcast about 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago. And if you listen to that, he's the artist that does the skateboarding. Well, he skateboards while he paints. And Ian actually taught Brent at school. Brett was one of Ian's students at school. So I'm just trying to close the loop on how small this world actually is.
It is.
Amazing. So, anyway, now that I've covered that.
No, I did some work with Brett, some other things, photography work, video work a bit, and he helped me, and he said, look, I'll show you how to publish, because he had artwork and various art journals type things published, so he knew how to do it. And being probably about the age of 35, he was, in cahoots with the IT network and all that, and so he knew how IT media works, and so he was incredibly helpful. So it finished, and then I sat down and said, well, what happens to her? And once again, you get a theme in your head. Okay, she goes to uni. She was 16, 2 years pass, she gets into uni. Okay, there it is. What happens at uni? Who knows? You just let your brain go, and you let your brain go. But there's one thing that I carried over, which is very, very useful in all the books. I don't want to give anything too much away, but in the first book, she has to learn how to defend herself. Not martial arts so much, it's just self-defense. And she really gets stuck in. So at the end of the first novel to the start of the second one, which is called The Fit Girl, because she enjoys running, and she's kept the defense training going. So by the start of the second novel, she can really look after herself. She's an absolute sweetie, a really nice kid, really nice girl, a very attractive girl, very fit because of her running and the defense training. but she can really look after herself. So if anyone's, wants to jump on her or try and bash her up or rape her or whatever, no problems there. She dishes it out big time. Yeah. And so, the second one, she gets to uni and all sorts of things happen. And, And
then there's a sequel after that, The Fit Girl 2.
Yeah, well, the whole thing is a series. So after various adventures, we'll call them adventures, in The Fit Girl Part 1 and Part 2, at the end of Part 2, she gets approached by these men in suits at a police station, and they're basically asking her to join ASIO. Wow. And so she has to make a decision, does she or doesn't she? And so the next book, it's really the fourth one, I suppose, which I've just released, Secret Girl, she gets her first sort of ASIO job.
Wow.
And that's the steel documents from the Chinese embassy in Melbourne.
Wow.
How do you steal documents from a Chinese embassy? I tell you, I drove back and forth along Albany Road, or whatever it is, Irving Street, and I'm thinking, peering through the window of my car, going slow, looking through the gates, taking a photo of the building, and knowing the outlay. I thought, the police are going to stop me. I'm going to get called up and pulled over and all this. They didn't, and I got an outline of the buildings and everything. And I thought, right, how do we get her in to the Chinese embassy? And I thought, okay, you can do this. To the people out there, sit down and problem solve your problems.
Yeah.
I thought, there's my problem. How the hell does she either break in or get in without being seen with all these guards and video stuff? And I worked it out. And I worked it out, and it's very, I think it's quite funny, actually.
I think that's great that you did that. I took a photo of in Fiji when they had the coup of a political prison, and I got shot at. So,
well, she doesn't get shot at. It's all very the people have to read it. See, you think, how the hell can you do that? And it's it's good. It's interesting. I worked it out, and it works. So
I love it.
Yeah, and then she does another job to do with the drug trade, and then she has a meeting with the minister of the foreign affairs minister, saying well done and all that, and then they decide to keep her quiet. The foreign affairs minister and the prime minister decide to keep her quiet, and so they get rid of her. They take her file and delete the file, and she's not known to anyone in ASIO at all. But she does undercover work for the foreign minister only. So then more jobs come up, and no one knows of her. It's really, and she's hidden from ASIO, even though she works for them.
Yeah, well, your brain definitely works in mysterious ways. So now that's 4 girls, and you've written, 4 girls, 4 books, and you've written 8.
Yeah, I've done 8.
No, you've written 9.
8. I'm starting a 9th later this year.
Oh, yeah. And your 8th book, London Bound, is due out in October. So there's 3 books.
No, that'll be the 5th one. London Bound's the 5th one.
Oh, the 5th one. I thought you'd written 8 books.
Yeah, I have. There's London Bound's the 5th. Then there's 2 Daughters. That's the 6th.
Yeah.
Then there's Traffickers, the 7th, to do with human trafficking. And the last one's called Scientists. The 8th one will be called Scientists. And 2 high-level scientists get kidnapped. And but it's kidnapped by mercenaries hired by the Chinese. And these 2 scientists have worked for the Americans on their Star Wars project, and they know everything. And I thought, where the hell am I going to, where the hell will I get them out of the country? And it didn't take long to work out that they would try and sneak him out in a part of Australia where it isn't really well manned, or on a submarine. Perfect place where I holiday all the time, Palm Cove. And so all the action happens in North Queensland, Palm Cove. And I know Palm Cove really well. So I thought, yep, no worries. I know what I'm doing here. And off we go.
So you know all the underwater tunnels and all.
Didn't need that. I knew you'd have to read it. And as Beth says, when she goes to a meeting with the PM, they said, "How are you going to get them?" And she says, "Oh no, we won't get them. They'll get us. They'll come to us." And they're all confused. You've got to say you can rescue these scientists, but you're saying they're going to come to you. She said, "Leave it to me. Yeah, I know what I'm doing."
Wow.
And you have to know, because she's got Shelley working with her, her sister. In the first book, oh God, it's all connected. It's all interweaved. Interweaves. There's connections all the way. In the very first book, where she goes to school, a high school for the first time, it's a central school. That is from prep to year 12.
Yeah.
And a little girl who catches the bus with her is Shelley Burns. And Shelley helps her at the start because she knows some of the high school kids. Just subtly introduces Beth to some high school kids so that they'll be friends. And Shelley and Beth become really good friends. And she teaches Shelley dance. And then, and Shelley goes all the way through the books. She becomes eventually her named sister. Yeah. Shelley's great.
Wow. A real sister. She's a...
Well, because Beth's an orphan, she doesn't have parents. So Shelley says, "I'll become your sister." It was in about 4 or 5. She says, "I'll be your sister, and you can call my mum, And I'm writing this stuff down and crying because it's so sweet. I cry all the time when I write this stuff.
I love it. I love it. I actually love that.
Tears are trickling. It's so sad. It's so nice, and there's a lot of promiscuous fun and games, and they because they're fit, they're out there girls, I can tell you, big time. It's real good.
I love it. When you're saying so there's a couple of things. One is, no, let's go to the crying first, only because, let's do that. Every year you go to Palm Cove. Yep. And you sit there for 2 to 4 weeks on the beach in your deck chair, feet in the hot sand, and free riding in your pool.
Yeah.
And what do you write a novel every year? Like, every single year you go there? Do you reckon?
Probably. I've been doing 2 a year, but I'll slow down from now on. I'll just slow down to 1 a year. Yeah. And we'll do. As I said, I've got 2 more. I know what they're going to be. Yeah. It's like writing a song, Kez. If you walk around, people say to me sometimes, one of my songs made Triple J on Earth. I gave it to another band, and that's all very nice. And then people say, how do you write a song? I said, it's easy. You just close this, open this, and open this, and it's all around you. Yeah. And you walk down the street, you walk down the supermarket, wherever, and there'll be somebody doing something. The famous Mark Knopfler song, "Money for Nothing."
Yeah.
What did he do? There was Mark Knopfler with his pad and pen in a shop buying a TV. There's a whole heap of TVs, and he heard 2 workmen talking. "Hey, look at that dude over there. Got a blister on his finger. He's on MTV. That's not work. Yeah, we got to move these microwave ovens. We got to move these color TVs." He just wrote down what he heard these guys saying. Love it. Went home. Dun, 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 dun. We gotta move these microwave ovens. It's 2 guys talking. And then once they how to write, just open your eyes and ears. It's all around you.
Yeah.
It is.
So when you why do you write freehand? Like, I'm interested in
easy. There's a kinesthetic feel for a biro or whatever, flowing across a page.
Yeah, I agree.
And it comes, your brain just enjoys the freedom of movement as against tap, 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 tap. Can't stand tap, 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 tap. But if you're writing flowing and your brain's flowing, everything flows from your brain through your arms and your fingers, and it just rolls out.
Yeah.
And it's really, as I said, it's really kinesthetic feel, touch. It's just great. And it's the way to go. And then I have to type them up. Oh.
I was going to say, who does the typing? Do you do that? Yep.
See those 2 fingers and those 2 worn down. I'm the world's worst typist. World's worst. But I knock it out. I eventually knock it out in about a month of typing. Oh, I'm terrible. I'm terribly slow, but it gets done.
Oh, it doesn't matter. It gets done. I'm just imagining you sitting on the bed. Why the beach though? Like what's like, a lot of people go to motels and lock themselves away, or a cabin or something. What's the beach? You said you do all your writing at the beach. Why? What's the beach?
Okay, the beach also has a microcosm of society there.
Yeah.
And you'll see a whole variety of people acting in a certain way. But the scenery is open. The sky is open. The blue, there might be some clouds, blue sky, the waves are gently rolling along the beach, the soft sand. So you've got this very picturesque, relaxed atmosphere, and you can see people doing things. And you notice their personality, little children, teenagers, old people, all sorts of people with all sorts of mannerisms are there in front of you in a lovely, picturesque, relaxed environment.
Yeah.
And sometimes if you're struggling for an idea or thought, you only have to gaze around and there it is in front of you.
Yeah.
And you think, oh, that's it. Like I wrote, that's interesting. And it'll twig your memory or your brain, I mean, and it can be helpful, or it can just be relaxing and let your mind flow.
Yeah.
Because I don't have a very big outline. I don't like constrictive outlines.
Yeah.
I like to have my starting point, my end point, and then let's see what happens in between. It really is almost like that. And I let my brain just go out on tangents. But you have to tie it back in. So it's a trick. You go off on tangents and these things happen, that happens, but then it has to. Remember Ronnie Corbett and the two Ronnies?
Yeah.
He's sitting in that big chair. And it's I'm going to tell you about my auntie. She was a wonderful lady. She's just passed away recently. We've all had people. And he goes off on these tangents. And he's talking about this, that, and everything else. And then after 20 minutes, he comes back and ties it all together to the main theme and finishes with the joke or whatever it was. That's brilliant.
Yeah, that's brilliant.
That's my brain.
I love it. Why did you chat? One thing I haven't asked you yet is that yes, you are Ian Handasyde. That's who I'm interviewing. However, you go under the pseudonym of James Hand. So why not your own name? Where did James Hand come from?
It's very simple. James is my name. Is my second name. I'm Ian James Handasyde. Yep. And Handasyde's too long and too complicated.
Yeah.
I just said, no, just shorten it down so it's easy. So it's easy for people to remember. You say, oh, I met this author. His name was, what was it? Ian Hand. They can't remember.
Yeah.
So if they say, oh, I read this guy's book, what's his name? James Hand. It's easy to remember. It's simple as that. I just shortened it so people could remember it. That's all.
Well, it's effective.
It works. We've moved.
Everyone calls you Hando anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Yeah,
they do.
Oh, I love it. I love it. So how many more? What do you reckon? How many more are coming in?
Well, the next one at the end of the year, as I said, I know what the next one's going to be because Beth's worked so hard at uni on the track team. She eventually wins the Australian Olympic trials and is going to the Olympic Games in Japan. So that's the date I'm working on. Now, because it's fiction, I could write it that she wins or she might come second or third or fourth. Who knows? It doesn't matter. It's only fiction. But she'll go to Olympic Games, and in that she'll probably get involved if some sort of, not so much espionage, someone wants to defect. Russian defectors are always good stories. So she'll meet a Russian defector, something like that. And there'll be byplay with the Russian, they're not KGB anymore, whatever. There'll be some sort of byplay like that. So it'll all centre around the Olympic Games and how she goes and defection. And the one after that, I, once again, it's my brain. I thought, what's the 10th one going to be? What's it going to be? What's she doing? And I'm going for my morning walk and passing a block of flats being built. And there's an electrician, a young lad and a young girl who are electricians doing the wiring. And I looked at this young girl who was doing the wiring with the boy, and I said, a young girl to be an electrician. Yeah, electrician. Oh. And so she's working on wiring of a flats, and all of a sudden the brain just clicks in the gear. Oh, yes. And Beth gets sent, because she's a journalist, a junior journalist, she's just sent to cover a political thing, and she meets a girl who's an old friend, and they chat, and the girl says something's wrong with the wiring. It's been cut. Why would it be cut? And they discover it's been cut so it can be recorded, recording equipment put in. And it's the same as in America, the Watergate stuff. And I thought, yeah, I know where this is going. Yeah, I know where this is going. Political intrigue through similar to Watergate, and I'll just let it flow from there. And so the 10th one will be called The Electrician.
Love it. So when is Beth finally going to come to rest, or is she not? Only when you do.
Well, look, there's areas she can go into. It's really quite strange. One of them is in the books. The lady who is the foreign secretary, she does such good work. She says offhand, not to anyone, to herself, she says at one stage, "Oh, girl, I am going to get you into this department by hook or by crook. You've got to become the foreign minister. We need you." So, I've sowed that seed of her talking to herself, saying she wants Beth in the department.
Yeah.
But Beth's a journalist. She's got a career and she's just been kicked into TV work. So by accident almost. So there's many avenues she could go, and I'm not sure where she ends up. But if she went eventually into politics, that opens up a whole new bag of things. And she wouldn't go
novels, whole new bag of novels.
Oh God, yeah. Can you imagine her like diplomatic relations with other countries is a very tricky business.
Yeah.
And there's certain we never hear anything hardly. But I was lucky enough to be taught at school by a fellow who was treading water for a year. No names, that's not fair. And he was waiting to get in the diplomatic corps, and he was a very intelligent fellow. And another fellow I went to school with, I only believe that he got in through the not Secret Service, but got in with in espionage work with the with the Foreign Department.
Wow.
Maybe ASIO, I don't know. I haven't seen him for 40 years. I don't know, no names. But there's things that go on that we don't hear anything about. Yeah. And the Foreign Affairs Minister, whoever it is, whether it be Liberal, Labor, or whatever, they know a whole heap of stuff, and they're not allowed to say it. Yeah. So you've just got to piece bits and pieces together. And, I have some friends who are in the police force, and when I was doing Two Daughters, I had to go and see them and say, right, I'm writing this. Can you tell me if what I've written is correct? Yeah. And they said, no, we can't tell you that. I said, well, okay, yeah, we can't give you information, but you tell us what you've written and we'll just, nod or no, that sort of thing. So I wrote I told them what I had done using logic, and I got nods all the way. Oh, yeah, okay, on the right track there. Yeah, okay, fair enough, yeah, okay. So I knew what I'd written was logically correct, so that was okay.
And we should just say right here that if you're reading Ian's books, he does not have their fiction. They're absolute fiction. So don't be making your mind up saying that definitely happens in the Department of Foreign Affairs. No. There's no undercover.
Does not happen. No way. It is definitely fiction, but it's just got a tinge of enough of it of reality, so the reader can think, could happen,
Yeah.
Because you watch Mission Impossible or whatever those films are, and it's absolutely James Bond, and look, that couldn't happen, you know. And with all the green screen action and all that, it's so far out there. It's just escapism. Well, with mine, there's a little doubt. Oh, it could happen, or he could have done that. You know, it's possible, and so it's more down to earth.
Yeah, but that keeps you interested. That keeps you right there, like imagining that it really could happen. And you're like, I want to know what happens next. I want to know what happens next. Like it really does keep you grounded, but still head in the clouds a little bit.
I'm very much, I like the way that the Rocky film went, that you saw him training and you knew he was going to have the fight, but you weren't 100% sure what would happen in the fight.
Yeah.
Now, in my books, a lot of things happen, and you even see the plans. They explain the plans. We're going to do this and we're going to do this. That's all fine. But then I always throw the hook line in, but things never go as planned. So you throw that line in and the people reading go, is this going to go the way it thought or not? And of course it doesn't, little things come in and, she has to think on her feet and get out of tight situations. They're trying to do the right thing, but whoops, something goes wrong. And that keeps people on their toes. I like that.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. So we don't know how many more Beth stories are going, but if you are picking up one of these books, you make sure you do it in sequence and don't just pick it up randomly, because if you picked up the sixth one, it might be like, who's Beth Duncan? Where did this come from? Is that how it is? Or could you?
Look, it's a little, it's a little bit. You can pick up the fourth one, and it explains very early on what she is, and she's in this situation of now. Yes, she's a student, but she's also a cub reporter for the Examiner in Launceston. And you quickly realise she also is a secret agent of sorts. But ASIO don't know of her. And you pick that up, so you don't need the other books to pick up Secret Girl to enjoy the story.
Yeah,
that's fine. Yeah, you can pick them, and most of them you can pick them up. But each book does definitely lead to the next one, to the next one. Like at the end of one book, she has a meeting. She's going for a run, and the Foreign Affairs Minister stops and says, "I've got a job for you. Let's have coffee." And it's got to be you. Can't be anyone else. And that book sort of, she outlines the job sort of, and then it finishes. Yeah. And the next book starts. She's at the airport about to fly out to, well, it's London bound, about to fly out to England to do this job, a drug-related case. So, yeah. And
I love it. Who was that band, Ian? There was a band that recorded albums, and they're very famous. And I can't think off the top of my head who it was, but each album led into the next one. I can't.
Oh, no, I don't know.
Oh, I just can't think who it is. But there is a really, really big band, a really famous band, and it was. And I can't remember how it happened. I know where there was just half a song at the very end. You know, one of those secret songs. Hidden song at the end, and the rest of it came on the next album, or it was something like that. I can't remember.
No, the Eagles did a theme where they did country, and the second album had a theme, sort of Old West theme.
No, it wasn't that. It was something to do with a song on the. Anyway, it doesn't matter, but that's what it's reminding of. But anyway, let's leave you completely separate entities, because you are. And what? So I reckon you're probably just going to keep doing this until you die, and we don't want that to come too soon, because we'd like some more suspense in the world. How are you going to try your hand at anything else? Like, have you got any unresolved desires to do?
Yeah. I enjoy the band work, playing. I practice my guitar every day. You can see them behind me, and I'm just going to turn this heater off. It's getting hot.
Yeah,
that's got it. I would like to do just a few more gigs, and we're only getting about 3 or 4 gigs a year. And I would like a little bit more. Yeah, but it's difficult. But I enjoy playing still, and I enjoy learning new things. Especially if something's difficult, especially if they say, "Oh, let's learn a monkey song," for example, and everyone goes, "Oh, yeah, they were just a crap band." yeah, maybe, but they weren't playing on their records. Who was playing on the records? All the top American session musicians.
Yeah,
so you got Dean Parks and Tommy Tedesco and God knows who else playing the guitar parts. And whoa, all right, here we go. This is pretty full on, and you learn an Eagles song, and they're pretty hot players.
Yeah, they are.
Those American country players, they are dynamite. Yeah. If they're backing whoever, they're really good. Yeah. And so it's really exciting to try and learn something. They said they wanted to do Dire Straits' song, Sultans of Swing, and I've gone, oh God, Mark Knopfler, oh God, oh here we go. And I said, all right, here we go. And I sat down. I got it. It took a month. Well, it's less than that. It took a couple of weeks. But his style is really strange. He's got a thumb, and he's used these 2 fingers.
Yeah.
And I use a plectrum, but I got these 2 fingers. So it's not too bad. But he's got such brilliant touch,
Oh, he's amazing. Yeah, he's amazing. He might just get his lyrics from going into Harvey Norman, but he's bloody guitar player.
Oh yeah, he's bloody good. And there's others that are really, really good. And so someone puts forward a song, you think, okay, what's he doing? Who is he? Oh God, here we go. And it might be some sort of slightly heavier rock song with some long-haired dude, but they goes and he plays all these lightning quick machine gun run, solos. You think, oh God, here we go, machine gun runs. Yeah, and you think, oh God, here we go. But anyway, it's a challenge. So the band work's a challenge. The writing work's a nice release. And what else? I still do sport. I'm a member of my athletic club, believe it or not. Yeah. And wow. I walk every morning, and I've been trying to run, although I've just done a hammy. So as you get older, things don't go well, but I enjoy it. So keep healthy. You've got to keep healthy, Kez, and active.
Yeah.
I almost died at one stage through pancreatitis. I've only got half a pancreas, and I've been to a couple of funerals recently, and that's going to a funeral of someone your age is a real jolt to the system.
Yeah.
And you're thinking, I don't know how much time I've got left. I'm going to use it.
Yes.
Basically, that's it. So the writing, the music, and even enjoying the running or whatever at the athletic club, even though I do it terribly badly, get out there. It's life. Get involved.
100%. I always say that too, that life, life is it's too short. You don't know what's coming. And I don't mean to be, it's not about living in a morbid state, and living sort of negatively and focusing on, oh shit, I'm going to die soon. It's not about that. It's about focusing on the life that you do have, and while I'm alive, bloody make it work for you, because you don't want to be on your deathbed and go, gee, I wish I had written that book. Gee, I wish I had have played in that band. Gee, I wish I've had have gone walking every morning. Like it's too late then, and if you
you're dead right. I'm looking at your face, but next to you is you get off the bench. And that is absolutely dead on.
Yeah.
It's dead on. Get out there and do it. It's your life. Do it. My wife plays golf 3 times a week with her lady friends, although it's a bit funny at the moment because the weather's crap. And she does a charity work at a Macra shop for two days.
Yeah.
So she's doing things, and she's always talking to her family in Scotland and all that. And we're planning various trips. We'll shorten them down now. We just recently came back from Singapore, and that was great. I went and saw the memorial or the museum for people who are on the Thai-Burma Railroad. And my late dad, was on the Thai-Burma Railroad, and he got out alive. It's a miracle.
Yeah.
So I went there to pay my respects and have a look. And that sort of thing. And when Dad came back, I remember him saying, they said, what do you want? He said, oh, I just want a normal life. I want to have a family and have a normal life. I've had enough of war and all that.
Yeah.
And seeing people killed and all that. He just wanted, and he and his mother, my mother, his wife, they never argued once.
Yeah.
They would have discussions, and then they would agree to disagree. And the people out there, you see so many people arcing up over arguments. I don't argue with my wife, ever. If she gets a bit of a head of steam up, I just go quiet and let her go. Wait till she calms down. My brother's the same. I refuse to have arguments. You know, it just inflates the situation. Let people calm down and then try and discuss whatever it is. Either let it go, because it's probably only a minor point.
But you've always been like that. I remember even, back in the band 30 years ago, 35 years, you were always like that. I was the hothead, not you.
We sent you to get the money.
I know.
Because you were the more aggressive one, And they wouldn't, because you're a girl. Sorry to be sexist, because you're a girl and you were an aggressive little thing. You always got the dollars. If they wanted to sort of shortchange us, nah, you got the bucks. So we were quite happy with that.
And they used to call me Spitfire. Remember?
Oh, I don't know about that. Yeah, I remember you were a good lead singer. And I enjoyed playing behind you. I do enjoy playing behind people. Being the guitar player. And backing someone up and fitting in your licks or whatever. I find that really good fun. Whether I have to finger pick or just throw a little solo in or whatever it may be, or link things up, link chords or changes up. That's good fun.
Yeah. Well, I love those days. I loved them. And, but we have to get old. We have to live our life. We have to actually, change things. I think, and this is a problem too with some people being depressed, is it stuck in the past, and
Yes.
I wish I was still doing that. And I think we have to also accept that, yes, one, get off the bench and do what you really love and don't waste time, like don't miss out on that. But two, it doesn't pay to sit in a place of regret either, or depression, sitting back, oh, I wish that was still the same, because life is never the same and you've got to make the most of what it is now.
Absolutely.
And,
absolutely. And also, you watch children play. I'm at the beach sometimes. You watch children play, and there's such a freedom and a relaxed care, and everything is new and exciting. Kids don't need computer games or that. All they need is a beach and a stick, maybe, or a ball, and that's it. They're gone for the day. They'll invent fun and games and build castles and do all this stuff and play in the waves quite happily. They don't need all this other stuff. And I enjoy my walks in the morning. I love looking at trees. Oh, trees are wonderful.
Yeah.
All different sorts, and the birds and all that. When you've been like so deathly sick as I was in 2008, it gives you a different. I used to lie in that hospital bed and look out the window and think, I could see the trees moving in the breeze, but I couldn't hear it. One day I'll get out of here and I'll be able to hear the breeze in the trees or hear the leaves rustle. And I said, yep, I'll get out there. I'll do that. I didn't know how sick I was. I was really, bad for a long while. But I got out, Oh, doctors. I've only got one thing to say about doctors. We are not worthy. Oh, surgeons. I've got a friend, a couple of guys in the athletic club been surgeons, and you just, so clever, so good. And what a great price to save someone's life and then go home that night, and think, that your hands prevented, this, it helped this person recover from what it was. Otherwise, they would be dead. Oh, whew.
Pretty special, isn't it?
Very special indeed. Yeah, a lot of time for anyone in the health business.
Yeah. And I love what you're saying too about appreciating the trees and that. And I think that when you're talking about devices and things, yes, I love my Mrs. Mac. That's what I call her, my computer. I love the internet, and I love technology. I'm great with technology, and I love Facebook, that I can talk to people overseas in an instant. I love all that. But at the same time, I agree. I think it's ruined our kids, and it's caused this extreme burst of anxiety, amongst teenagers in particular, wanting this.
Yeah, I've got a little anecdote here in my books. I've got one here. Okay.
Luina. Yep.
Luina. But look at the girl on the front cover.
Yeah.
Okay. She's a nice young lass, right? She was 15 when we took that photo. Her name is Mia Sharka. That's actually not her real name. It's we call her Mia Sharka.
Yeah.
She's a schoolgirl. Guess what she doesn't do? She's not on Facebook or any media. She's not involved in any social media.
Wow.
She wants to become either maybe a psychologist, she's working hard, or maybe a nurse.
Yeah.
Okay. And she's a really caring soul. She is the loveliest of loveliest people. And we're just enamored that she has agreed so far to be on the cover of our books. Except the second one. She's not on the cover. The second one, we got that photo of a running person somewhere, but she's been the cover. She's just great. But when you see photos of her, if anyone wants to have a look at her, we've done videos of her promoting our book.
Yeah.
Just go to YouTube and just type in James Hand author.
Yeah.
And you'll see her just moving, grooving, acting like she's posing a thing. But the thing that comes across is her natural caring attitude. She's just a lovely person, inside and out, very few. And as I said, not on social media, not interested in that crap that goes on there. And is a bit doing her studies, involved in life and doing other things, got a part-time job at a restaurant, and does a bit of work for me. And she's just great. And all those teenagers out there, I don't know if they listen to this, but, close the media down and go out. Look at the trees,
Yeah.
Get a part-time job. Meet people. You're a teenager. Meet people. Talk to people. Take the earplugs out.
I know. Well, our two have both got jobs, but I was constantly saying, get outside, get some bloody air, get some fresh air. And so to get out of your bedroom. We go for a walk every morning, not with the kids, but every morning. And our neighbour's got this little Shetland pony that sneaks into our house. We're both on farms. The little thing sneaks in every night and eats our grass, which is fantastic. But he poops everywhere. And so every morning we have so much fun. We check out all the little horsey footprints up our driveway, and we're like, oh, here's another one. And and then we watch the galahs, and then we watch the cockies, and then we look at the little birds, and and the trees, and that tree's growing well, look at the little buds. And I tell you what, just that 30 minutes every morning of just being present in that moment and laughing at the dogs. One of our dogs is nut. Actually, she's got spayed yesterday, so we're trying to slow her down for a couple of weeks. But she's just insane. She does zoomies, and that is such a nice way to start the day. It is
Absolutely.
Just yeah.
I'm out every morning. Out for 5 to 7, 8K walk.
Yeah,
every morning. And I have been trying to run recently, but I've just done a hamstring a bit, and I've got to chill out. But I'll still walk. I walked this morning. I only did a short distance. Tomorrow I'll be back to my normal things. It's only a small strain, so I'm okay. But get out in the morning. And people say it's too cold. No, it's not cold. It's invigorating. There is a difference.
I agree. We still get out there with the beanie and jacket on and go, holy hell, it's freezing.
No, it's not. It's invigorating.
We still do it. Well, we still do it.
My late mum, I think you met my mum, didn't you?
Oh, yeah, many times. Many times.
Okay. My mum made 105.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow. And she was in a nursing, her eyes went, unfortunately, she was about 95 and her eyes went, which is... But she lived on the radio, and the radio was a godsend. Talkback radio, she loved it. And gradually, she just got more and more frail. The body can only go so far. Anyway, we'd go and visit her. We split it, and each person, my brother, his wife, then my wife, then me, we'd split one day each to go and visit her, and someone else would come on the weekend. You'd go into these places, and there you go past these rooms in these care facilities, and they're lying on the bed, and that's all they're doing. And the chest might be going up and down, and it's God's waiting room, you know. And we'd take mum for a walk, or every day we'd say, okay, let's go for a walk, and we'd chat about things. And she knew stuff that was going on. She didn't have dementia. She was fine. She was 105. I remember she was about 104, and I went and visited her, and I said something like, because everyone would talk about something different. The girls would do girly talk, so to be a bit sexist, but girls talk. I do more sports and stuff talk. I remember once saying to her, I said, young Casey Stoner won the, whatever it was, Monaco Grand Prix. She said, oh, yes, he's going very well. She knew what was going on. Yeah. She had her marbles, and that's good. If you can be old and have your marbles, that's a godsend. Yeah. But some people get dementia, and it's just awful. But
no, well, your mum was a gorgeous human. I met her many, many times. We were at your house many, many times, and she was just beautiful, just a beautiful lady. Beautiful.
Even at 90, she could do shorthand on the phone. Yeah. She'd answer the phone and say, oh, yes, just a second, and she'd write down whatever they're saying in shorthand. And I remember saying to her, what is that? She says, oh, it's just that I've got, and there's all these hieroglyphics. Yeah. What is that? She says, oh, it's Jenny, and I've got to meet her at such and such. Okay.
I did shorthand at school, but I go and wouldn't. I don't think I did very well.
My mum did well. She was the shorthand. The stenographer for the. She rose up in 1930, whatever it was. 40, about 1947, 8 around there. She was getting married, and she was the chief stenographer for the head of the SEC, which is actually quite a good job for ladies those days. Yeah. But then she had to leave. She had to leave because she was getting married. That's what it was like in the 20s, 30s, and 40s. Yeah. If you were a lady and you got married, sorry, job's gone.
Wow. Wow. We often think, don't we, that there's not enough gender advancement, which I do agree there's not enough gender advancement. Yeah. But when you look back to that, like a lot has changed, and still not enough. But, imagine nowadays saying, well, women can't stay in. I was just read this thing on, I don't know where I read it, anyway, about the Chinese, and there's this, when they turn 35, they're considered too old to employ at 35. And so it's called the curse, the 35 years.
Yeah. I've heard something like that.
Wow, amazing. Anyway, better wrap this up. This has been fantastic.
Okay.
Now, what I just want to know, what advice you got for any budding authors?
Well, number one, be true to yourself. If you want to write something, no matter how good or bad it is, try.
Yeah.
And if you really think you're no good, try a short story. Get a theme in your head. If you don't know what to write about, go walking. Open the eyes, open the ears. There'll be something out there in the supermarket or wherever it is. Just look. You might see a kid, complaining to his mother, and you think, well, why is he a little brat? And there you are. There's your starting point.
Yeah.
What happened to this lady that she beheaded a brat? You could write any story. So get your theme, try the short story, and then read some other people, but don't try and follow them. I don't read too much anymore because it would sway my style of writing. Yeah. I'm true to myself. Some people will like it, some people won't. That's okay. If people don't like what you write, that's fine. They won't have to buy it. But the people who do, if they enjoy it, great, and basically that's it. Have a crack and don't be put off if it's not so good. My first novel, Luina, was stripped down. You cannot believe how the professional editor stripped it down to grammar, red line. I went, oh, good. It was more red on than it was black. And I thought, oh, bloody hell. So I thought, you, son, although you think you know how to write, you better go and do a few courses and read up on it. So I did. And I thought, I see what. And then I worked it out. And then I got a Grammarly editor, which I downloaded through. Brett helped me. And that was a lot of help. And now I just do it myself.
Yeah.
I know how to do it now. Get the apostrophes in the right place and the structures right and the clauses, et cetera, et cetera. So that's okay now. The only thing is, when you do something, put it aside for a week or whatever, and then come back to it. And will it sound good? Is it still good? Have it. And if it's not, then talk to yourself. That's not so good. What's wrong here? It's not believable. Oh, the person's too hard, or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
And then go again. You can't do. It's like many people. You can't succeed unless you fail first.
Yeah, agree.
That's the key issue. Yeah. You've got to fail first, and then you'll keep at it. And it's human beings keep at it, and eventually you'll get to a point where maybe you are happy enough. Yeah. And then you go to the next step. Yeah, that's the only advice I can say.
That's great, absolute great advice. And the other thing you said, something I'm noticing that you've said all through this interview, is the constant asking of big questions. The constant asking, be curious. What could that be? Who could that be? How could that be? That sort of stuff.
Yes.
Constantly asking those big, curious questions. And
absolutely. Yeah. And trust your brain, you'll get the answer.
Yeah.
You'll get the answer. You might occasionally talk to people. And you just listen to people, and you'll get the answer. No problems. Have faith.
Love it.
Have trust.
I love it. Well, thank you so much for
thanks, Kaz. Good to see you again.
Good to see you. This has been fantastic, and not only catching up with you, that's been absolutely bloody fantastic. And we should do it more offline.
Yeah, I'll give you a call. I'm going up to see Ray sometime soon, so I'll give you a call sometime in a few months, and I'll come down your way.
Oh, that'd be fantastic. Would love to spend some time with you. It's been too long, but at least we've done this, and I'm really glad. And you've brought some really good information for people who might be wanting to write books, and also who might be seeking an adventure and a thriller can go and read your books. But I've absolutely loved this. So thank you so much.
No worries. Great. It's been good. It's great to see you again. Excellent.
All right. Catch you soon.
Okay, catch you soon. All right. Bye.
Cheers.
Bye.